Welcome to Self Reality, a show where we like to unpack all your favorite reality TV shows. We like to go over the best and the worst of these shows. I'm your host, Angie Hanlon, and here is my co host, returning guest, Nick Hanlon, my brother.
Hello, everybody.
That,
I am ready to talk about Survivor
that,
in a lively fashion.
that energy's got
See
a.
where I wore my shirt to signify the first reality show, Real World on MTV?
That was a good one.
Survivor.
Okay, let's see
Season
Survivor.
47, episode 10.
Yeah, you didn't say that confidently. All right, folks. So again, as I said, we're here to unpack Survivor. That's what Nick and I have been doing. We're doing all the episodes. This is episode 10. Let's get to it.
I'm waiting. I'm waiting for Boston Rob to come out. I think there'll be some sort of surprise guest host or something.
I
Like,
mean,
Jeff's got to get a cold one day.
no,
And then here comes Boston Rob.
I think Jeff's a bot. Jeff's never going to get a cold.
Hmm.
I looked up how much. What do you think his net worth is, Jeff Probst?
It's got to be like 40 million,
You're close.
50.
Yeah.
It's just points.
It should be. Okay.
It's the only TV show that draws money other than football.
I know it's still popular, and let's get to why. Let's get to why it's popular and why we like it. So, as you know, Aftermath.
Bye.
So I do the Aftermath, but I forget momentarily. Oh, now I remember my favorite person. I blocked it out of my memory. So Saul gets voted out.
Poor old Saul.
Teeny's best friend, everyone's best friend. I mean, he got along with everybody. And the only person I think who really didn't know until the very end of that crazy, chaotic tribal was Teeny.
Bong bong. She was not happy.
Well, let's talk about it. So, Nick, if you got so let's say Jen is your best friend, right, on the show. You think you're really friends, and she lies to you. And then
Well, she does it several times in a row. Yeah, it's a problem.
how would you react?
I think I would just hold it in and pretend not to be upset.
Like, do you
But it's tough. It's tough after so many days of not eating and you're wet. It was raining. I mean,
and you're with just the exact same people, and like, that's who you have.
ideally, I would hopefully I would hold it in, but I don't think that will always happen.
That's what I was curious.
Well, somebody like Tina, it's almost a boss. She's pure emotion.
She is pure emotion, and like, she is upset. And I thought, okay, so she's gonna have, so she has a bit of a blow up at Jen, which it's totally legitimate. And she's not screaming. She's just like, I'm hurt, and I thought you were my friend, and I feel humiliated, and like you tried to humiliate me.
Well, she thinks that she's doing it on purpose, though.
Well, that's
She's like, you're purposely trying to make me look stupid, which isn't
It's not.
the case.
No. It's totally not the case, but I think, as we go through this episode, like Teeny kind of talks about deep insecurities, identity issues, etc. So I think I can understand sometimes when having a perspective that when someone does something, right, that hurts your feelings, oftentimes it's very common for us to think it's against you or it was intentional, like, because it feels so hurtful. It feels intentional.
Well, everybody takes everything personally.
Yeah, like, so I understand her perspective, but I think in this kind of game, you have to try and separate it. I don't know how well I would do at separating it. I'd have to do like constant meditation.
Ideally, you think you would, but
I'm not in that position of starving, sleep deprived, out in the like you said, in the rain.
there's also like what your face looks like and stuff, even when you're not. Like, you can lie, but your face sometimes can't. Like, it's so hard for people, right? It's like, if you're lying but you look miserable, they know you're miserable. I mean, it's so hard when we're watching a TV show that's cut into an hour and a half from 72 hours.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Truth.
it's a very, you have to be able to do it perfectly. You have to be a bit of a sociopath. Like, it's not easy to just.
Of course not.
Gabe did a pretty good job of it most of the time. Like, in the season so far, like, he's pretty good at being like, yeah, okay, yeah, but you can still kind of tell he's pissed.
You can, if you look in his eyes, I think if anyone looks in anyone's eyes, you could probably kind of tell. So I was just curious your thoughts, because I think I could probably fake it a bit just from years of work, although apparently my face reveals my feelings anyway. So I don't know, right? I have a face that just speaks what's in my heart. But I think eventually it would get to everybody. So
Hunger gets to everybody.
hunger and sleep deprivation, that's what they use to torture people. So anyway, and then didn't you find it interesting though that Jen said she's trying not to have any emotional connections with anyone?
Yeah, I mean, that's what you go in thinking to yourself.
Do you think it's
She made
feasible?
that. No,
Me either.
not really. I mean,
Could you do it?
I don't think it's feasible to have that attitude and win, because if you're totally dead to everybody,
You're
people
not,
don't like you.
and then you don't make connections. But if you make too strong, so I think Jen and Teeny are almost opposites, right? Because if you're Jen, I think she's trying that, but I don't think she's making as much of a connection with people as much as Teeny is. But Teeny's is too much.
She's the best person to bring to the end right now.
Yeah, because she has no strategy. Yeah, Teeny, you're right. You're right.
She has no right.
Teeny or Sue.
Yeah, I mean, but Sue is likable, more likable than her because she's got this motherly thing. Teeny's pretty likable, but she has no resume. I think it'd be harder to not give the old person that you think is your mother votes. So, but Sue's up there. I mean, she'd be number 2, I guess. But
Yeah.
like, Teeny's got nothing.
Yeah, and she just runs around. She's always on the. No, she could turn it around. Let's see if she turns it around.
I don't think anybody's giving
Oh.
Andy $1 million either. But
Andy, he's the next on my list to talk about. So Andy is talking to everybody. What do you think about that?
I don't know if Andy's talking to everybody or everybody's talking to Andy. It's not like he's going around seeking people out, saying stuff to people. People are seeking him out, it seems like.
Really? I thought that.
Not like the way, what's his name, Rome. He was like really going and like lying to people. Andy's just kind of like, okay, that's probably a good idea. It doesn't seem like he's seeking them out. Like he's sitting there and people are talking to him.
But the way he talks in his interviews, it seems like he is.
Just the way they're showing it, though. I don't
Okay.
know. You know what I mean? Like every time he's just sitting there and people come up to him, they're like, this is what's going on. Or they're sitting there and they start talking. It doesn't seem to be ever him initiating it. I know what his interviews are saying. I also think he's blowing himself up more than is true. Because it doesn't seem like he's running anything, but he is making the right decisions on whose side to be on.
He is, but I have a feeling his arrogance is going to get the best of him.
The snake.
The snake, the smiling, I wrote down my favorite expression, the smiling assassin, he calls himself. Actually, but before we get on to talk about the reward, I forgot to mention, go check out, Nick has 2 podcasts that I forgot to mention at the start. Kayfabe Wrestling Talk, where it's actually his alter ego.
Handsome Nick Hanlon, my twin brother. He's kind of a jerk, but he knows wrestling. His opinion is probably better than yours.
That's right.
If you disagree with him, he would say you're probably wrong.
Nick's a little on the fence about that. My 2 brothers have a podcast called the Dirty Glass Podcast, where they drink different types of drinks. They rate them. Tons of fun. Lots of awesome. That's right. So go over and check those out. Like and subscribe. And also, if you're enjoying this content, please like and subscribe to this channel and write your comments. So, moving on. Reward challenge. So they have added like a second challenge, which I like because I don't know how fascinating camp is all the time. And it's a breakdown into 3 groups by random. 3 groups of 3 because there's 9 left. And the challenge is, it's not incredibly complicated, actually.
There are 2 steps.
There's only 2 parts. So they tie up their hands like on their waist, right? Like to their waist. So they can only kind of.
They're going to crawl.
Yeah.
Or they're
And
going to slither like a snake.
Oh, that's well played. So, and I think their ankles are tied together. They have to plop down on the ground and then like use their head. Some of them use their tongue or bit it to move a ball up little hills in the sand. And then once all 3 of them get through that, then they essentially have like three, I don't know, lanes with a circle for a ball to kind of land in, right?
Mm-hmm. They got to
push
real
it
slow.
Yeah.
Land it in the hole. Each member of the team got to get one.
Yeah.
And then you win the challenge.
Let's go in the bathroom now.
I guess, yeah.
This is what's happening.
I like the challenge. Simple, to the point. A lot of sand and cleavage.
I just like that I didn't take 10 minutes to describe it.
Well, it's easy to understand.
So you had the win. Well,
It's 2 steps.
The groups were Kyle, Rachel, Sam, Jen, Teeny, Sue, Andy, Caroline, Gabe, and the winners were Kyle, Rachel,
I
Sam.
mean, Kyle's team dominated. I mean, Teeny's
Yeah.
team, Teeny wasn't even to the ball part. Nobody threw the ball by the time they won.
I
They
will.
dominated that.
What I'll say is Gabe's team did like have a really
Gabe pushed at the end,
and he was mad when they didn't win.
but they didn't even push. Still didn't push a ball. That's how little of a comeback it actually was. They never even got a ball pushed. They never started the second section.
So do you think you could do that? Any part of that? I could do the ball part.
Today, no.
Yeah, and then, I mean, not 20 years ago when I'm in my 20s, sure, but today I just like eat dirt.
It'd be difficult.
Like, I don't know how I would like slither my butt. Anyway, that one I couldn't do. I probably say that about most. Then they have a sanctuary. So the winners go to the sanctuary.
They didn't do much at the sanctuary, did they?
No, they just ate. They had wraps. I like it better when there's a little bit of booze for them to like sort of loosen them up. But
I like it when there's something there that you can find.
yeah, that's true. No one looked for
It seems like there's nobody's looking for idols anymore. I mean, there's got to be idols out there, but anyway.
Of course there's idols. No, that's a good point. But at the sanctuary, at first I thought they're just going to eat and be like, oh, that's so good. But Sam did play his play, right? Like Sam's at the bottom.
Well, he's pitching Gabe to
Kyle and Rachel.
That's who was there, right? Pitching Gabe to Kyle. Then Rachel and him had it out because he kind of screwed Rachel over in the last one by letting her spot be known.
Yep.
But it seems like they're buddies.
They seem okay now. I think Rachel slit his throat, though. I think she's vicious. Like, in terms of...
I think every single person in this game right now, other than
Teeny,
slit another one's throat. I don't think that anybody is trustable, which is fun.
I think Sue is...
I don't think Sue knows what's going on.
I know, she seems confused. But I think she was loyal to Caroline and Gabe, but we'll get to that. So, I did notice, though, that while the guys were talking, like maybe Gabe, maybe Jen, maybe Gabe, which is sort of a foreshadowing of who it became. It ends up being, let's say, Gabe versus Jen. That's ultimately who it becomes.
Genevieve.
So, yeah, not a lot happens. Nothing's found. You know, Sam starts to try and build stuff, puts out Gabe, puts out Jen, and then...
Some wraps and rice and shit.
Yeah, and they ate and la-di-da.
I mean...
No, it's good. Then we get back to camp, and I pointed out to Nick, there's like Andy music. Do, do,
yeah.
do, do, do.
It's like when a fat guy walks and you play like the big, what's that?
What, the tuba?
The tuba. Do, 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 do,
Like,
do, do.
it's so, I find...
You see Andy just... I gotta speak.
So then... you have Andy saying, I like the part where he's like, okay, I need to build a relationship with somebody from Tuku, and it's going to be Sue. So, because he basically thinks that they should aim for Kyle, which I think is a smart move in terms of targets and threats. And he's like, and this, I love
I think Kyle's too skinny to think about. Nobody talks about him really.
Maybe, because his chest was concave when they were playing the...
He's 90 pounds.
He's so wee. So he goes to
He's
Sue.
a vegan farmer. He came in small.
I know.
Now the weight he's lost, 10, 15 pounds off that boy. Ooh,
Yeah, he's little.
that's 10, 15% of his weight.
Yeah. So Andy goes to Sue because he's like, hey, I want to go for Kyle. And Sue has a beef against Kyle. Now, what I found funny is they do an entire montage, like a minute, right? At least a minute of Sue shit-talking Kyle. I hate Kyle. Kyle sucks. I don't want to hear him. He's like... Sue, I knew Sue didn't like Kyle. Like, I've heard it a few times.
She didn't hold a grudge, yeah.
But the level, and it's her in all different, like, state of dress, and, like, she's wearing a different thing, or it's not all the same conversation. So I thought that was interesting. So the Andy music, you get the montage. Again, Andy's sort of, like, just rolling with whoever right now. And Nick's right. He's been picking well. Then you have Gabe, Teeny, and Jen. Gabe, and this is where Gabe is finally saying he's worried about Kyle, even though they're both from Tuku, they're both very good friends, but he's worried. And then you also have, I think the best little pairing that we saw though was Teeny and who's it? Teeny and Sam.
Mm-hmm.
Because Teeny's at the bottom, Sam's at the bottom. I just get worried because Teeny always picks wrong, but like Nick made the point earlier, like to me, but who else?
That'll work with someone.
Yeah, and who else do they have? It's just, can't they slither in with someone else, right?
I mean, I don't know if Teeny feels like she can really... The only person she hasn't worked with is Sam. She's really been,
She's been screwed over. You know what? Yeah.
what do you get screwed over? But she's always so emotional. She's never come up with a plan. I never heard her come up with a plan once to vote somebody out.
Her plan is always, oh yeah, that's a good plan. Her plan is to say that's a good plan.
She's a hitch to your ride. The only way that she could win is she made it to the final if everybody hated the other two. So if they all get it really personal, which has happened, but it's rare.
It's rare. It hasn't happened much since like the first seasons. You know what I mean?
The pirate season it happened.
Oh yeah.
With Rupert and that girl that wore the Cub Scout outfit all the time won.
Then there's like Teeny's really sad. And I feel bad because like it would be easy to get depressed. You don't have any of your family there. If you kind of feel screwed over by someone, like it would be pretty easy to go down that sort of pit of despair.
Well, she's probably a likable person in real life and everybody likes her, but she's in a game of deceit.
And she's not
good at it.
No.
She's not good at the deceitfulness, that part.
Because she's not deceitful. She's nice. And, okay, so let's talk about the immunity challenge.
Dum dum.
What's the immunity? Okay, I'm going to ask you then. What's the immunity challenge?
What is it?
Yeah.
Well, they hold a plate with balls. And they got to balance the balls and can only use one hand. And every 10 minutes, they add a ball.
Yeah.
So at the end of it, by the end of it, there's 3 balls. So it's all, and you got to stand on a little piece of wood. So you're balancing on a piece of wood with a wood plate with balls that can roll off. If any of the balls roll off, bye.
And Jeff really did get into saying she's holding on to her balls.
Oh, yeah.
Her balls are like Jeff.
The wind's moving Sam's balls.
Yeah, Sam's balls are moving. Sam's balls are on the move. It was he just any opportunity to say that he said it. It was interesting because they did get a lot of like wind, sort of gusty wind during it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of interesting. Who wins? Yeah.
Mr. Kyle.
Yes, the one I said.
You got 4 now. 4 individual immunities. 5. I think 6 might be the record.
6 would be the record. So there's like, I think 3 or 4 people with the 5 immunities. He's 1 away. And I just said, like I said last episode, they should have got rid of him because he's likable too, this guy.
Yeah, I guess.
I think he's likable. I think he's like a family guy. I think he's been more honest than a lot, but still playing a game to some degree.
Funny. He was a vegan farmer, though, yeah.
I know, but I'm just saying from the perspective of like, he's someone you don't necessarily want to sit next to at the end.
Well, he could win it. I mean, at this point, especially with the amount of immunities he's won.
We forgot to mention at the start that Jeff did a rice negotiation because they're out of rice.
Mm-hmm.
And basically Jeff says, 4 of you need to step down from this challenge and you'll get a bag of rice. And then and he says it's a negotiation, so they try to negotiate for 3, which I would have gone for 2 if I'm being honest with you, because you go low.
We start with 2.
But they went right to 3, and Jeff was like firm, hard, no. And then what else did they say? They tried something else. And like 4 shot in the darks, I think, or something.
That's what they said. Yeah, 4 shot in the darks.
And he's like, no. Then they offered, I think Gabe offered, I can't remember who, but I think
everybody gives a shot of darks.
And then everyone was like, yeah, except for Sam.
I wouldn't have went for it.
Yeah, how did you feel about Sam going with... So Sam...
If I was Sam, I would have tried to talk some people into stepping out. But like, is there none of you that think that you won't win this? This is a very hard challenge. You're telling me there's not 3 right now that say you won't win this. Or something. I would have at least tried to lawyer it a bit, because that's what Gabe did to him. Now, never mind. But like, Gabe pretty much lawyered Sam and guilted him to do it, right?
And I have to tell you, I didn't feel good about how Gabe did it. Like, it didn't feel good. It felt, yes, that's why. It felt like passive-aggressive, but aggressive, too, at the same time. And because none of it sat well. And I'm like, this isn't sitting well. And Sam acquiesced very quickly. And to me, that makes him look weak. And I don't know that he wants to look weak if he is at the bottom. But anyway.
But you want everybody mad for keeping him hungry.
Here's the balance. Everybody wants to do it. And I'm not saying like conformity, yay, but you're Lord of the Flies over here, man.
Yeah,
like,
it was 8 to 1.
So he kind of had to go with it, but I wish he had like you said, lawyered a little bit.
I don't think I would have done it.
Would you have said no?
I think so.
What do you think would happen?
I would have tried to talk people into sitting out. Like I said, I think I could have got a few. I think I could have got at least 3 people.
Well, you're a salesman, though.
What does he do? Isn't he sales?
He's a sports commentator, I think.
No, it's not.
Rome was.
Oh,
No,
maybe
Rome.
he is. You don't have to write anything.
I think he's a sports commentator. Like, I would, anyway, I don't know. He just went, I just wish he had fought a little longer, or he could have he could have lawyered back and said, listen, and he did. Oh, do you know what it is? He got emotional because Gabe was going at him emotionally. He's like, yeah, easy for people to say when they're at the top. And I understood that reaction. It was very reactive, though. It wasn't the best strategy. So in the end, they get the rice. So they made, again, win. So Kyle wins. Big surprise. I mean, you would think, though, that, I don't know, like, he wins all kinds of challenges. He doesn't just win, like, physical challenges. He's winning endurance and balance. And, like, I don't know, that guy can do a lot of
He
stuff.
does yoga.
Maybe. I don't know. So then we're back to camp. Andy, Teeny, and Sam are talking again about Gabe. Teeny throws out Jen's name because she's still PO'd about last week when she got and because she has again, emotional, right? Is Jen really the best bet?
Yeah, it was all Genevieve and
It was just
Gabe.
basically, yeah, like it's the only, I think, the final point of interest, I think, in sort of the camp scramble, let's call it, was that Caroline went to Rachel and was saying was it Rachel she went to?
I don't know.
I think she went to Rachel. She went to someone and she basically says she's ready to flip on Gabe. No, she goes to Andy. Which is interesting because Caroline's closest ally is Sue, whose closest ally is Gabe.
Yeah.
And Sue, if Caroline has not...
Well, you might do this, yeah.
But
Sue's done.
Right.
Sue's done with me.
Yeah, and because Sue, as we can tell, with her relationship with Kyle, holds a grudge. So I thought that was...
Slightly.
So what do you think with Caroline's predicament? What do you think she should have done?
I think she did the smart move. I mean, Sue's one person now. Now Caroline's working with like 4 people.
Yeah, that's true.
So she kind of just jumped ship. I mean, Sue's gonna be mad, but what are you gonna do? You had to get rid of Gabe or Kyle. Kyle's still there. If you're getting rid of the people that are gonna win immunities, they're the 2 strongest. Nobody else is good at immunities, really. Sue kind of is.
She's actually good.
So she'd be a good one to get rid of next, to be completely honest. Plus, she's a little more likable to the jury. But I think she made the right move. I mean, that's what I would have done.
I think Caroline...
And I wouldn't have told Sue.
Well, she didn't. I don't think
she lied right to her face.
I think the aftermath will be interesting, but because as you can guess...
Oh, will be.
Gabe got out.
Yeah, Gabe's gone.
But let's talk. So I just want to talk for a second about what you thought about the conference. So we get to tribal. So it's basically Jen or Gabe.
And there wasn't a lot of talk at tribal because it was pissing rain so much.
And it was just clearly that was the choice. It was Jen or it was Gabe. There was no other names. Not a single other name got thrown out. Right? Kyle won, so we can't vote Kyle. So I thought the interesting conversation at trial. I guess it is trial. Tribal was the discussion about community.
Yeah.
So basically he's saying, is there a community? And some of the points...
It's definitely a dysfunctional community.
Yeah, what do you think? Like, how do you define a community?
I don't know. I don't even like talking to my neighbors, so I don't really know how to even...
But a neighborhood's not... Neighbors aren't necessarily a community. A community... Oh my goodness, I can't even say it. A community can be just a group, like people who support one another. But I guess community... I guess you're right. Community probably lands on an area, like a space, right?
I feel like it does.
I'm not going to get too I was about to get philosophical. I'm not going to do that.
I mean, you can have a church community, you can have a school community,
work community.
But usually have gatherings of people in one spot.
But with the world we live in, it can. Anyway, I won't go too deep down that rabbit hole. But like in this case, I would say it's a community of people gathered together to build like a little society, right? With food, shelter, whatever, and they have to coexist. And I thought actually Gabe made the best comment in saying, yeah, you have to build a community to tear it down.
Mm-hmm.
And do you think in a community that you need to trust people? Like everyone, I think that's where it's interesting. Like everyone has a different definition. Like,
well, it'd be nice to trust your neighbor to call the cops if somebody's breaking into your house.
Right.
Well, with Survivor, you can't trust anybody. So is it a community?
So would that make it not a community?
I don't think it is.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like a community to me. It just seems like a bunch of people lying to each other.
Same here.
I mean, there's a group of people together. Just because there's a group of people together doesn't make it a community. I know
Deep.
Jeff likes to.
We started the philosophy, Nick.
Yeah.
That's why I thought I'd bring it up.
No, I know, but he tries to socialize everything and make everything a little more now happy. But the game's still the game. It's still about
At its core.
backstabbing your best
Yeah.
friend.
Yeah.
And is that a community?
But I
don't
think
know.
they first, especially more in the olden days, they first had to build a community. I think they do kind of have to build a community first. That's why they have group challenges, right? But I think once the group challenges are done, and the fact that they've moved away from alliances,
Is a tribe a community, though?
Yeah.
I guess you could say it is.
I would say it is.
But eventually, that tribe's going to stab each other in the back if they don't win the challenges. So,
But here's
choice.
the last philosophical question about that. Does having people lie or stab them in the back negate the fact that it was a community?
I don't know. I've never really thought of it as a community until they even started talking about it.
Well, Jeff always likes to throw the little.
I mean, it's a micro community, I guess.
Anyway,
It's like a little micro community experiment.
it's like a sociological experiment.
Yeah, it's a
for growth.
social experiment with humans that get tired. And kind
It-
of community-esque, but
I think the tribes are a community, but anyway.
I think a true community takes a little longer to establish. I don't know. It's not something I ever really thought
Me
about
either.
until he brought it up.
It was an interesting discussion. That's why I wanted to talk about it. So in the end, I think they made the right choice. It was a clean sweep except for Sue and Gabe, of course, who voted Gabe out. Sue and Gabe voted for Jen. I think that was the right choice. I think the Tuku community / tribe still had 4 people left. So if you go and you still have 4 people from your original Tuku tribe to 8, like you always have a tie already, right? So I think Gabe has also been strong, and he's also been he's incredibly strategic, and he's very cutthroat. So I think it was, I think Jen is actually very cutthroat. I'd be looking at her next. I think she made a big mistake letting too many people know that she was the mastermind behind last week's.
Well, that was more Sam that did that.
That did what?
That let everybody know about her.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, and good.
But she told the wrong people.
But she told too many people. She could have kept it smaller, right? So I think the things to watch. So good episode, Nick.
I like that.
It was good. It was like, it was kind of.
Each one's getting more interesting.
Yeah, this one was more intricate, I think. Like, where are these guys going to go? What are they going to build? Who are they going to work with? Who's working with who this week? What would you score this one out of 5?
Yeah, 4. I think a 4.
And
it was good.
Which like just interest, strategy.
It was interesting. I was watching it the whole time. I mean, I like both challenges. It wasn't boring. I mean, it wasn't super exciting. There was no big blindside. There was no big surprise. There was no big freak out. So it's hard to give it above a 4. I mean, you can even go 3.8 maybe. But like, yeah, 3.8, 4, 3.8, I guess.
Oh, you just guessed mine.
Is that yours? It was, the whole thing front to back was a good episode.
But it was middle, like good, like, yeah, solid episode. I wasn't super distracted many times.
But I think now the shit will hit the fan.
That's what I hoped. That's the thing. You need these sort of leveler episodes where they build to something.
Yeah.
You need the sort of
If there's like a TV, like Sopranos, there's always one that nothing really happens. It's still good, but
it's like Sister Wives.
Sure.
I know you don't watch it, but there's certain episodes in like some reality shows I watch where it's like
any TV shows like
nothing happened, but you're building characters.
Right now I go,
but this one was for me, because a couple episodes ago I was kind of bored. This one didn't bore me. It was just like, as soon as they went Jen and Gabe, I'm like, all right, this is the rest of the show.
Let the bodies hit the floor.
Yeah. So it was a good one.
Rest in peace.
I give this one a 3.8. Solid episode, solid effort. I'm interested to see, what I'm most interested to see is if Sue can contain herself now that she was screwed over by her bestie.
No, she won't. That'll be interesting next week. She's going to flip out.
And what do you think? And and my second on my list is like, where does Andy's...
I think Sue might suddenly start working with Kyle.
Do you really? I have a hard time seeing that happen.
Just saying.
But let's wait and see. I'd be very,
Right now, Nick predicts, and we can
yeah.
talk about that next week.
Nick's predictions.
Nick's predictions. Nick's picks.
And Angie's prediction. I don't have a
Sue
prediction.
flips out.
It's Sue flips out on Caroline.
Teeny trusts too much.
He just
Andy looks dumb. Hi.
he's
Can I lock your children in my basement?
So what would be your least favorite 3 at the end?
Out of who's left now or out of everybody?
And who's left now?
I mean, God. Andy, Sue, Teeny.
Exactly the same in my head as that. I
Yeah.
mean, we almost agree too much. Exactly the same.
Andy, Sue, Teeny.
I think
I'd like Sam to win the whole thing. He's my favorite.
Oh, good question. Who's your favorite? So who's my favorite now?
Sam's my favorite.
Ah,
He's a survivor.
Sam's solid because he's had to scrap his way up from the bottom. I don't know. I don't even know if I have. I like Rachel. Rachel's had to scrap, man. She's had to scrap her way up in a couple of situations.
What's that? All the small.
Yeah, the small, like the one from Gata.
Yeah.
And like, I think she does get attached and likes people, but she keeps reminding herself this is a game and she plays the game. And I think she will just, I like her because of her strategic.
Genevieve's pretty sneaky too, but
Who is?
Genevieve.
Yeah, I just feel like,
She doesn't look as evil as she is.
I think Genevieve is, and actually I'd like to root for her because she's Canadian and from Winnipeg, by the way.
Oh, is she?
Yeah.
Hmm.
But there's something about her, like, I don't know. Rachel for me is more likable for some reason, whereas Genevieve, it's like, her, and they're both doing the same thing, by the way.
She
So,
got the demeanor of a mean
well,
librarian.
she's a corporate lawyer.
There you go.
So that'll do it. Anyway, fun episode. I like doing these sort of episodes right after we watch it because it's fresh in our minds. Again, go check out Nick's 2 podcasts, Kayfabe Wrestling Talk. I had to let you do the face. And the Dirty Glass Podcast. Like and subscribe. Yeah. And please like and subscribe here. Thank you all so very much for watching. Let us know what you think. Give us any suggestions you want Nick to watch. Like it might not be at the start, but Surreal World or some really dramatic thing. Let us
Once
know.
the season's over, we'll have to figure out something to watch for our Wednesday recordings.
Okay.
So
I can even let you pick one. I can give you options. Anyway, that's exciting.
Still got a few weeks, but
Yeah, that's exciting. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.
Please. When you hit the like button, do the with your eye. You got to do the eye thing.
Oh, I do the.
Bye.